Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new weekly series here on the channel. For I think 6 weeks, you're going to see this on the channel throughout this summer. This is the debut here on NR2003, where we will be following along with the Camping World SRX Series that kicks off this weekend in real life Saturday night at Stafford Speedway or Raceway, and we are going to be following along with the schedule just like we have been all season long with the real life NASCAR Cup Series schedule. As usual, I am joined by my good friend of Jay Cook. And Jay, we come into this, both of us, the comment section, we're probably sure might light us up a little bit throughout this broadcast, but both of us really don't have a lot of knowledge on the series, on some of the drivers, but both of us, I guess, are just interested and excited to at least learn about it and give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm certainly excited for the series. I don't yet know what kind of racing it's going to provide. I don't know who's going to be the dominant driver. I mean, one would have to think maybe right away Tony Stewart just because of the kind of race car driver he is. But I am excited to go into it. It's something new to watch. It's a new motorsport to watch. It's got certainly some exciting personalities to it, and it's got a good amount of drivers who were previously retired and are now coming back to run the series for this first season. So I think that'll be exciting as well to see if some of these retired guys still have it and see if they can be still competitive.
Getting ready though to take the green flag this time by here for the first race of the series here in Stafford, a field of 12 drivers. We're doing 140 laps. They do timed races in real life. We can't do that in NR 2003, and we're doing about 50% of what they would be doing in real life. So we kind of did some calculations with Jay, and we came up with about 140 laps is what we're going to do here today at Stafford. But a field of 12 cars, Jay. I mean, we don't, like we said, have a lot of knowledge. So I mean, is there anyone here that sticks out other than Tony Stewart? We got Tony Kanaan on pole, obviously known for being really good with IndyCar road racing. Do you see a guy like Kanaan being able to hold on to this lead here?
I don't know if I necessarily see Kanan as being a guy who is competitive in this series, although there's only 12 cars, so I'm sure and all the equipment is kind of the same as well. So who knows? It really can be anyone. But I mean, somebody who I also look at aside from Tony Stewart is Elio Castroneves. The guy still is showing pretty clearly by even winning the Indianapolis 500 just a couple weeks ago, showing pretty clearly that he's still a good race car driver, still can win in anything you put him in, and still has the heart to drive and win races. So I think he's another guy that I look at as well.
Certainly being aggressive here, Castroneves is three wide in the middle at the end of one lap. It only takes about 18, maybe 19 seconds to get around this track. So very quick lap times here now. I mean, just maybe a tiny bit quicker than a track like Martinsville with the Cup Series there as Castroneves gets through. Greg Biffle, you notice there, he is in the 16. We know he's 69 in real life, so we didn't know what the number was beforehand, so I'm sure it'll get changed at some point now here. As a big shout out to, of course, Taz, Taylor, and Tango Wolf for building this pack for us to use throughout this season now. As you see these guys going at it side by side, but we got the number 13 of Tony Kanaan, or sorry, the number 48 of Tony Kanaan out in front there, and then you got that number 13 in second place. But I mean, Jay, we see Castroneves kind of falling off now that he's on the top, and we don't have a lot of knowledge as well about this track. I mean, and it's so far, at least on here, it seems like that outside line might not be the way to go.
That's what it seems like so far. It seems like it's very, very heavily inside line dominant. And anytime you're not in that inside lane, it seems like you are at a big disadvantage.
And there you see three wide into turns, what, three? Actually, some contact right here, some good racing going on now. Oh, he's in the wall. Castellanos, not the start I don't think he would like to be having now as he came through turns one and two. So that was a rough one. I don't know if there's really any serious damage on the car for him, but yeah, that was a rough start. Right behind him, you got the number 17 of Willie T. Ribs there, and then just behind you got Ernie Francis Jr. There's, like we said, some drivers we don't have a whole lot of knowledge on in the series, and as we go throughout the series, following along in real life and in NR 2003, we're going to get a better idea of who is in this field. And then we got Michael Waltrip here as well as Bill Elliott down towards the bottom, the 98 of Marco Andretti, another IndyCar driver. Jay, we've got, I think it's really cool to see this crossover of these IndyCar guys coming over into this series and seeing what they can do.
Yeah, and seeing them do predominantly ovals. We won't have any road courses with this series, and they're all short ovals. And I believe there's also a dirt race for this series as well, which I'm
Two
not
of
sure
them.
if any of these guys have ever done two dirt races. Wow, okay. I don't know if these guys have ever done dirt races before. Certainly, probably not in a stock car like this. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle the dirt when we get to it.
And yeah, the two dirt races are going to be at Eldora, I believe it is, and Knoxville. Not a surprise with Eldora, of course, it's a Tony Stewart, own series, and going to a Tony Stewart owned track or whatever. Unless I can't remember if Tony was giving up ownership or something like that of Eldora, but I thought I heard something like that before. But you can see we got some good three wide racing going on here right now as it come through turns 3 and 4. But like I said, very quick laps around here. We're already 10 laps complete starting lap 11, but you can see that outside really is a massive disadvantage right there. Bobby Labonte on the inside right now of Greg Biffle is going to get clear down the backstretch. Saw a little bit of grass get thrown up right there, and actually we got a guy coming into the pit lane there, the number 13. I completely honest, I have no idea who that is. That is actually Paul Tracy in the number 13. That makes sense now. Canadian actually now, as I don't think that it would be a scheduled pit stop, of course, so clearly some type of issue for Paul Tracy in the number 13 car here, as now up towards that front though you got the number 48 of Tony Kanaan continuing to just, I guess, dominate so far, Jay. I mean, I don't think we expected Kanaan to pull out a 2 second gap here in, what, 10 laps, or just over 10 laps.
Yeah, I didn't expect there to be already a 2 second gap pulled away by anyone. So I'm kind of shocked to see him already out to this big of a lead, and honestly, I'm kind of shocked to see the field as spread out as it is. I was expecting these guys to kind of, feel their cars out for the first time, go at each other a bit, but it did not take long for Kanan to run away and this entire field to kind of get spread out.
And there you see Paul Tracy. He has gotten back on the track, so he went one lap down. Not sure exactly what the reasoning for that pit stop was for him, but yeah, I mean, Kanan now up to second place though is the number 10 car of Doug Kobe or Cobby. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And Jay, I mean, do we have any information on this guy? This is a guy that came up on our radar. We were looking earlier, and we honestly, both of us collectively, had absolutely no idea who this guy even was.
Doug Kobe is a long-time driver in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. He's got 3 championships, I believe it is, in that series. He's won several races. He's made 6 championships. Sorry, he's got 6 championships in that series. He's won 28 or 30 race. No, he's won 28 races. He's ran a ton of races, so he's a long-time driver in that series. And now he's getting to drive in the SRX Series and have himself on national television for probably one of the first times ever.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, none of us really even knew who this guy was, but right now, running second place, and you're looking up at the scoreboard, notice that we have the CBS ticker on the screen now to follow along, kind of like IRL. We'll be back with the Fox one this weekend for the NASCAR All-Star race that we do, and then it'll be switching over to NBC. But you're noticing with the timings right now that he is actually closing in on Tony Kanaan here a little bit, so definitely keep an eye out for him. Tony Stewart up into third place. I mean, Jay, I mean, no better guy right now than to start up a series than Tony Stewart. He has great marketing strategies. It seems like. I mean, you've been seeing the SRX presence all over social media. I think they've done a really good job with Stewart kind of running this thing and just promoting the series overall.
I think they found a really good combination of him and Ray Everham, and then also just the CBS actually seeming excited to host the series and promote the crap out of it. Like you mentioned, we've seen it all over Twitter. They did countless amounts. CBS Sports did countless amounts of posts and videos about the series leading into this weekend. They've marketed it everywhere. So yeah, I think CBS is also just truly excited to have some racing back on their channel. And honestly, I think it could be a look into the future. We already know they're kind of going after the IndyCar contract a little bit, and maybe they'll go after the NASCAR one as well. And I cannot tell you how excited I would be to have CBS do NASCAR again, simply because Alan Bestwick is now in their employment. And God, I would die to have Alan Bestwick doing NASCAR races again.
All of us, I think, pretty much loved Alan Bestwick in the commentary booth, especially for NASCAR and whatnot. He's done some IndyCar in the past years as well, and we would love to have him back on the main stage with NASCAR and whatnot. But I mean, I think as a viewer for myself this weekend, honestly, that's going to be one of the things I'm looking forward to the most. Is not even the racing, but just having Alan Bestwick be the commentator. To be honest with you, but you
Yeah,
got
I'm extremely. Oh, sorry, I let you
no.
run.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Actually, no, you're fine.
Oh no, I was gonna say I'm very excited for that as well. Once I was already excited for the series just to have something new to watch in motorsports, and especially with some of the drivers that were getting announced. But then once CBS said they hired Alan Bestwick for it, that raised my excitement level even more. Because just hearing that man commentate a race, he can make the most boring race seem exciting just with the way he is and the stories he tells and the way he commentates and all that kind of stuff. Alan Bestwick truly is the class of commentating for motorsport.
And there you see the 98 of Andretti trying to work his way up to the back of the 9 of Bill Elliott right now as he leads him in about 7th place. And then just in front there, you got Michael Waltrip. Now, I mean, Jay, it was interesting. Michael Waltrip, I mean, earlier in the year, we heard him talking about, I guess he's been working hard losing weight and whatnot. I guess he's in like the best shape he's ever been in, and he really wanted to get in behind the wheel of a race car again. Now here he is in this series. I mean, in real life, how do you think a guy like Michael Waltrip's gonna turn out?
I'm honestly not sure. I mean, he truly has talked about getting in shape and being the best he's been in a long time, and getting ready to go back behind the wheel. I remember at Daytona when Fox showed up to do the broadcast and everything. It was one of the first things that he kind of talked about was wanting to get back into racing. He didn't hint at what. But I remember texting you immediately and going, "Oh God, Michael Waltrip said he wants to go racing again and has gotten in shape for it." And then I think a couple weeks later, if not a month or so later, is when the announcement came that he was going to do SRX, and that's not quite what I was expecting. But I mean, there's no better opportunity for Michael Watchford to go back out here and race against some of these guys and show that he can still do it. And maybe he wants to do this to show that he can still race and maybe try and get a couple rides in NASCAR again for a couple races. I don't think he'll ever go full time again. But maybe he's still wanting to show that he's got it a bit and try and get himself a couple races here and there.
Could certainly see him maybe compete in a truck race or something at some point, at least now. As you're looking at the timing in your top left of the screen, so the 10 of Kobe or Kobe. Let us know in the comments if we're pronouncing his last name right. We don't know if it's Kobe or Kobe, but he is still closing that gap. It's not big chunks he's really taking out, it's just small chunks, but he's doing it consistently here. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe within the next 20, 30 laps, he is going to be on the back of Tony Kanaan. Now, just back there, though, for third and fourth, Tony Stewart's going at it with Elio Castroneves. Now, Jay, I mean, obviously, Elio coming off a huge moment in his career ever with the Indianapolis 500 win once again. Obviously, he's done it multiple times, but this one, I mean, it just seemed like the biggest win of his career. I mean, it was a huge race. It was a great race we got to witness, and I mean, with Elio winning, it just kind of it put like the cherry on top, I think.
Yeah, and Elio winning too with his personality, just the way he is, it made that celebration so much better. And you could kind of tell too that he had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder going into it, and he felt a lot of that pressure relieved because obviously he was with Penske, and Penske got him out of the IndyCar series and put him into to IMSA, and did not allow him to run IndyCar anymore. So Castroneves kind of had to take a leap and go away from Penske to get back into IndyCar, and it wound up paying off for him with the Indy 500. And I think you just saw all those emotions come out at once, and obviously with the way he is with the fans too. I mean that massive celebration there, hearing those fans roaring as he takes the lead, and then obviously chanting his name as he's standing on the front straightaway, climbing the fence and all that kind of stuff. It was just it brought chills to me, and it was just absolutely magnificent. I don't think in my lifetime I've seen a race win celebration kind of like that ever.
Yeah, I mean, so look at the field that we got. Do you have a favorite driver that's in the field here?
I think, I mean, of the people here, it's probably a tie between Castroneves and Tony Stewart. I was a big fan of Tony Stewart when he was racing in the Cup Series. Still a big fan of him now, just because of his personality. And then obviously Castroneves, I've always liked in IndyCar. And then this Indy 500 obviously has brought more attention to him as well, and made me like him even more. So I think those two are my immediate favorites.
I'd put Elio at the top for me here as well. Stewart's a cool one, of course, and I mean, right now he's having a solid race. Almost 4 seconds back, though. Definitely getting spread out in the midfield. I mean, obviously, when we say midfield, that's like seventh or something like that with this field. There's only about 12 cars in these races. It's not a big field of cars, but as well, you look at the tracks that were at very short tracks, of course, so it makes sense now. But you can still see that gap is coming down. That 10 of Doug Kobe is closing in on Tony Kanaan. But I think, Jay, we can both agree. I mean, I don't think we expected Tony to be able to lead as much as he's done. So, I mean, nonetheless, he's done a great job. Maybe, I don't know if the tire conservation might be coming back to kind of haunt him a little bit here. Maybe he pushed too hard early.
Yeah, he got out to that lead super quick, and I think it might have just been a thing of him being able to have the pole position, obviously, and just start running away with it. And maybe Kobe is one of the stronger drivers in this series and already has this car figured out pretty quickly. And once he got through the field and got through traffic, that's why he was able to start running Kanaan down. I don't necessarily know if Tony ran the tires away. I think it's just simply Kobe is faster right now.
and within half a second at the end of that last lap there. So they are also starting to run down this guy right here, the Canadian of Paul Tracy, who's already a lap down, by the way. He has the fourth fastest lap currently. So, I mean, he's got some speed in that car, but of course, that pit stop that we still don't know, of course, what it was for really messed him over there. So, Kobe gains a little bit of ground right there. He is all over the back of Kanan here now as Castroneves, now that he has gotten clear of Tony Stewart, this might be his opportunity to start moving his way forwards now. It'll be interesting to see if he's got anything now. But Stewart seems to kind of be drifting back a little bit here, maybe going to fall down towards the 17 of Willie T. Ribs, as well as we got Marco Andretti there rounding out the top 6 with some pressure from Bill Elliott. But now the gap's stabilizing a little bit, still about 4 tenths between the two, but you can see right there out of turns 4, it looks like Kanaan had a bit of a wider exit, and that allowed the number 10 right there to gain almost a full tenth. So I think this battle for the lead is just about to heat up here now. As I mean, Jay, I mean, you're going up against Tony Kanaan. That's an IndyCar champion right here, but against a guy like Kobe, of course, who we went over earlier. I guess, you know, he's very, very good when it comes to the short track modified type racing. I mean, who would you bet against here? I mean, Kanaan, the IndyCar champion, or Kobe?
That's a hard pick, honestly. I mean, obviously, we know that Kanan is a great race car driver, very successful in IndyCar. Probably could. It seems like he can run well in anything that he ever runs. He's ran well in the IMSA stuff before. But I mean, Kobe is just. I don't know how you go against a guy who runs stock cars for a living, runs on these short tracks for a living. And I mean, right now, it just seems like he is that little bit faster than Kanan. So I think that I'm going to go with Kobe.
Might make a move right there into one. No, he does not. He is right over the back of him here, but it looks like he has a way better exit off of these corners. He's really able to get that thing to turn. But now, I mean, if Kanan can plant that car in the bottom lane, I mean, I think Kobe's going to be kind of stuck there. But right there's his opportunity. Does he make it work? He's going to take a look to the inside. There it is. The pass for the lead through turns 1. They're going to be side by side, but I think Kobe will have the advantage right here. Still side by side into turns 3, but it looks like, yes, the pass does get completed, but Kanan tries to fight back, but not going to be quite enough right there. So Doug Colby to the lead on the 50th lap of this race, and we'll see if he's going to be able to potentially drive away like I'm probably sure he is going to. But now what we're going to do here on the 50th lap already of this race, we're not far away from lap 100 and then going to the final 40. So we're going to go for a very quick break here from Stafford and come back and bring you to the next 100th lap of this race here. Welcome back here from Stafford, already on lap 73. We went for a quick break and we realized that, I mean, we let the time go here because these laps are very quick. But now that we are on lap 74, we're already just past the halfway point of this race. It is now the perfect time to get amped here. We do this in my career mode. We do this in our NR2003 NASCAR Cup Series season as well. And now we're going to bring that over here into the SRX season as well. So let's get amped here from Stafford. Welcome back here from Amped at Stafford. There you got the 10 of Doug Kobe still out in front over Tony Kanaan, who's almost 2 seconds behind. It is quite a gap all the way down to about the 9 of Billy Elliott. Then it gets very close from there on back. So some good midfield racing going on, but it's a bit of a runaway up front to say the least there with that 10 car just absolutely just handling the field right now as we're focused on that number 2 of Ernie Francis Jr. Another guy, Jay, we really did not know much about coming into this race, but what we did find, I guess, is Ernie Francis Jr., well known for being a strong competitor in some Trans Am racing.
Yeah, he's been in the Trans Am series since 2014. He's a young guy. I believe he's the youngest in this series, at least the youngest in this race. And one of the younger guys in this series is only 23 years old, and he's still making his way up through the Trans Am series. He's won, I think, championships in just about every single class he's run, and then he's also ran one previous Xfinity Series race back in 2017 at Road America. So up and coming driver, young guy, won lots of championships already in Trans Am. And I'm sure he's looking to make a name for himself in this series, and probably in hopes for going to the NASCAR side of things.
There you see him running now right behind that number 17 of Willie T. Ribbs. And then just in front of him, you got the 18 of Bobby Labonte. And then we go up a little bit further. We got Bill Elliott, of course, a past NASCAR champion. I think Labonte, of course, he's won a championship in the Cup Series too. But then you got Tony Stewart. Surprisingly, he's now almost 8 seconds off of the leader, and I don't even think we're going to get a caution here at the way things are looking now. So, I mean, if it keeps going in this direction, it looks like Doug Kobe is going to run away with this first race win here for the SRX Series. So, some good racing, though, like we mentioned, in the midfield there. You see Paul Tracy. He's, of course, still a lap down. Nothing he can really do right now as he runs down to 16 of Greg Biffle. Now, Biffle not having the greatest race now, but Jay, it's kind of cool, I think, for both of us to see Biffle. He's always kind of, since he left NASCAR, been very kind of quiet about racing. He just kind of flew under the radar, but then he came out of nowhere, did like a truck race a few years ago. He won at Texas in Kyle Busch's truck, and now he just kind of, once again, came out of nowhere and showed up and did this. So it's kind of cool to see a guy like Biffle, who always is really quiet and just reserved off the track, come back here and just show up for something like this.
Yeah, I think everybody likes Greg Biffle as well. You know, he may not have been the most popular guy, but everybody at least liked him. And obviously, you know, now that he's coming back and done the random truck race and all that kind of stuff, he had a lot of fan support behind him. And obviously the memeing of the number 69, which he's not running in this race, but he of course will be in real life. And so Biffle is he's just one of those drivers that everybody likes his personality, and he's also competitive too. Obviously, coming back and showing up for that truck race out of nowhere and completely dominating the field and showing the field up, if I recall correctly. So the guy can still race, and I'm sure he's wanting to show that here in this series as well as I'm sure a lot of these guys.
We got trouble! We got big trouble! Oh my goodness! Oh, I don't know what happened. We caught it just as it was in the middle of developing. Obviously, the caution's going to come out. I was just saying earlier, I said, I don't know if we're going to get a caution in this one. Here we are. We got multiple cars with damage. The 15 of Michael Waltrip, the 17 of Willie T. Ribbs involved. The 10, the leader, no damage for him or Tony Kanaan. The 16 of Biffle, he's involved as well. But out of nowhere, this all comes into development. We'll get a replay as quick as possible, but we're going to make sure these guys get this all sorted out. So pit stops are not a thing in real life, I found out, by the way, but obviously we can't do anything about it here. So they will be coming into the pit lane there. But wow, what a development. That is now going to turn this into about a maybe just over a 40 lap dash to decide this race. And that could be an opportunity for these guys to get these fresh tires back on the car like Kanaan and maybe hold off that 10 car of Colby for 40 laps if he can manage to get the lead. Now, 4 tires going on, all of these guys, I'm sure. The 10's already coming out, and he is going to easily win the race off of the pit lane. There goes Kanaan. Castronenno's there in P3, and then Tony Stewart 4th, Elliott and Labonte 5th and 6th. So now that the main guys have gotten out, you see Andretti with a little bit of damage as well. But now let's get a quick look at what just brought out the first caution ever in the SRX Series. Here's the reason for the caution. Andretti and Ribs going side by side out of turns 1 and 2. And then out of turns 2, he's going up to the track a little bit, but it looks like Ribs got maybe a little bit loose, got into Andretti. And then, of course, you got these other guys just piling in. Caution comes out for the first time here as we're going to get another look as a 10 car. The leader just barely got through that. That could have been a race ending moment for him.
So here they are going down into 1 and 2. You can see them getting closer to almost a little bit of contact, and then off the corner, obviously, Willie T. Ribs hooks Marco Andretti, and then all these guys just come piling in on the onboard with Biffle there. He almost starts to go up and over, but able to land back on his wheels, and a lot of these guys have damage, and I believe at least 3 of them are retired, if not a little bit more.
And there you see right there, the 16 of Biffle out, not really surprised by that. He had quite the hit, as well as the 15 is out of this race. So unfortunate there for both Biffle and Michael Waltrip. Tracy is 2 laps down now, and the 98 of Andretti's a lap down. We saw him on the pit lane. There was some damages needing to be fixed. You can see the damage right there on his car. It'll be interesting to see if he will come back down the pit lane or not, or is he going to stay out? It looks like he's probably, yes, going to stay out. But I mean, now, I mean, Jay, we saw the pace that Tony Kanaan had on that short run earlier in this race. I mean, honestly, he might be able to get up here and potentially steal that win from Doug Kobe. And as well, it looks like we're going to have 2 cars in front of these guys. So that could really open the door for maybe even a guy like Castroneves to spice it up and somehow steal this win.
Yeah, Kanaan did really have good short run speed there, so I don't know if that's going to translate over into this, this time around as well. But if it does, I mean, this is only going to be a 40 lap dash or so to the end, and I mean, you think of 40 laps as being long, it's really not at this track. That'll go by so quick. And it took about 40 laps or so, if not a little bit longer, for Kobe to get by him on that first run. So if Kanaan does have short run speed, then this is certainly his time to shine.
And we're going to see what he has as we should be going green. Yes, this time by. So we're going to see what these guys sure enough have. So there you see we're going to have 2 cars lining up on the inside. That's going to be the 98 and the 13. So the 2 is not leading this race, and the 2 is Ernie Francis Jr., but he's starting in front of the leader. So that's going to spice it up even more here, where it really opens the door for a guy like Castroneves or Kanaan to make something happen. So it's going to be interesting here. I mean, Jay, we got damaged cars up here. I mean, this could open the door as well for some potential more chaos on this restart even.
Yeah, I think this definitely is going to be a more chaotic restart here. I think it's going to be more chaotic than what we saw to the start of this race as well. These guys know this is coming down to the end of the race here. This is probably going to be their one shot to have a restart to get at Kobe here. So I think these guys are going to go for it all.
And there you see Kobe going around on the top, trying to get around Andretti on the top. And he goes always all the way up into the outside wall. A big mistake right there from the race dominator. And now they're 3 wide back here. And that puts Kanaan to the front. They're 3 wide here towards the back of the pack. You got Tony Stewart in the mix now as they keep it going in the right direction. But wow, a big mistake right there, Jay. I mean, at a point in this race that we're at, you cannot afford to make a mistake like that. Does it look like, I don't know, what did it look like to you? Maybe he just overshot the corner right there?
I'm going to be honest, I can't really tell because the screen is so fuzzy, but that just goes to show how wild these restarts are and how unpredictable they can be and why you always have to push as hard as you can because that guy can always make a mistake. You can push him into a mistake or maybe something will happen where he's trying to deal with the driver in front of him who's slower and you can take advantage of that and get around him. So that's why restarts are always super important and obviously that's shown already to be important here for this series as well.
And there you got the 48 of Kanaan and Castroneves, the 2 IndyCar veterans and legends of that series going at it right here. Of course, they've done their respective races outside of IndyCar, and they're 3 wide now with Andretti. It's all IndyCar guys right here that they're known for. But now we got the 10 of Kobe. He's still right up in the mix, but obviously he was the leader. He just threw that away. Will he be able to battle back? He's got to get through both Castroneves and Tony Kanaan if he wants to be back up in that front position. There he is already making a move here to the inside of Castroneves, but can't quite make it stick just yet. But I think he's definitely got some serious speed still in this car, but definitely seems to take a little while for his car to really get going, and now he's only got about 35 laps to make that happen now. So there you got the two of Francis. Would love a caution right now. He's got the 13 of Paul Tracy. He's now 3 laps down, not two. So not having the race he would like, of course, as his debut in this series. There you got the 9 of Bill Elliott running down in P7. Cool to have a guy, I think, Jay, we can both agree to have a NASCAR legend from all the way back in like the 1980s, even suiting up and coming out to join the series.
Yeah, he's shown before too that he wants to keep racing, and once again, this series providing a great opportunity for somebody to keep racing and just keep doing what they love. We've seen Bill Elliott. He did the Xfinity car race year before last year, I believe. He's done some other smaller series as well. I think he's done some Trans Am stuff. So cool to see him in this series as well. It's always awesome to see a legend of NASCAR racing again, and hopefully he can be competitive and win at least one race this season.
We'll see what he can do. Of course, getting up there in age at this point as we're closing in on the final 30 laps of this race right now. Fastest lap of the race is at number 10, not surprising there. And then the number 3, actually, of Castro Neves. And then Francis Jr., actually, with the third fastest lap. And then Kanan, who currently leads the way. But clearly, Kanan has that short run car. But I don't know, 30 laps. Do you think, Jay, 30 laps is going to be enough time for that 10 car to have that kick in and then run down or pass Catroneves first and then run down and pass Kanan?
If he's able to get past Castroneves here within the next 5 laps or so, I certainly think so. Yes, but I mean those 30 laps are going to click off so quick that if he sticks around Castroneves here for any more than 5 or so laps, maybe even just 2 laps, I think it's going to be too much time lost here for him to get up there and get at Kanan. It just seems like it takes him a little bit to get around some of these guys, even if he has the quicker car.
And you can see the gap really not changing very much right now, as I'm starting to see, like we saw earlier, where that 10, he really gets a good exit, and the guys, everyone around there is kind of sliding up, and I'm seeing that start to come into effect. And now the 10 of Kobe, he's going to go back through into second place over Elio Castroneves. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can run down. I think he will for sure run down Kanan, but will he be able to pass him is a big question. Of course, we could still have another caution before this race comes to a close yet even. So it's going to come down to the wire, I think, here now, as hopefully we can see Kanan put up a good fight to Kobe and not have him just run away here in the final now 27, 26 laps as we come through to cross the line. But Jay, I think we can both agree so far. I mean, for our first race, I think this series in NR2003 has put on a good, solid show. And I'm excited to see what we're going to get in real life. I mean, what do you think we're going to get in real life? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a point system and stuff that they're following along with and whatnot, right?
I I genuinely have no idea. I would assume there is some kind of championship system, because why wouldn't there be? Uh, but I have no idea what it is. I don't know if they've announced it or what. So even if they have, I have not seen anything about it. They don't have anything listed on their website about it. Their website is pretty basic. So I'm not too sure about how the championship format is for this series, but one would have to assume that there is going to be some kind of point system and obviously a champion at the end of the season.
I would expect it to be pretty straightforward though. If it's 6 races is all it is, right? So it must just be just from start to finish, whoever's on top wins. But it's just because they got like all these like local drivers doing like races and whatnot. So I don't fully know what the heck is going on with the standings and whatnot now. As there's just over 20 laps to go. And yeah, there you see that 10 of Kobe. He's running down Castroneves here, 3/10 of a second as they came through to cross the line. And 20 laps, well, about 22, that goes by really, really quick here. When we went for our commercial break earlier, it was 20 laps. So we got about one commercial break to go, basically, here in the SRX series, except you're actually going to see it this time. Now about 2.5 tenths of a second now. As Kanan continues right there, you can just see he pushes up, and Kobe, he doesn't quite do that. He gets a really good exit out of that corner now, as he's going to, of course, have to try and force his way up the inside now. But Jay, I think Castroneves, surprisingly, after he got passed by Kobe, he's been doing a really good job holding on. So honestly, it might not be over for him either. It seems like all of a sudden, once he got past there, he's kind of learned the driving style that Kobe's applied to this track, and he might even be a factor as well.
Yeah, but I think we're just gonna have to watch for Kobe here to really start to gain that gap up here, and honestly, I think he's gonna be going right back at Kanan really quickly here, as he's already almost onto his back bumper already. So I think we're gonna see all three of these guys, Tony Kanan, Doug Kobe, and Elio Castroneves battle it out right to the end. We could honestly, maybe, hopefully, see like a three wide finish happen or something. That would be super exciting to have this series in like that for its first race.
And they have not been afraid to go three wide here tonight. We have seen that already. As you see right now, pretty tame throughout the field. Of course, we've got some cars down on power and whatnot because of the damages that they picked up under that last caution. So it looks like, I mean, it's unlikely, but they could end up running down a guy like Paul Tracy and have some lap traffic to deal with, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Tony Stewart, by the way, running currently in fourth place, just a little bit out of the action, and then just behind him, you got Bobby Labonte now. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe Tony can find something, but you do see Kobe lost a little bit of time right there. Now just a little bit over 3/10 of a second this time as they came around there, nearly 4/10. So all of a sudden, it's looking like he might be losing some ground as they are running down Paul Tracy, though, pretty quick now. So, and it looks like, Jay, these guys, we know very well already that that inside line is very important. So Tracy, I don't know if he's going to move out of the way or not. So I think lap traffic, I think all season long with the way these tracks are, I think are going to play a really big important role if they do become a factor.
Yeah, with these cars being so close together on speed as well, if the lap guy is not willing to just move out of the way, I think they really could be an issue, especially if we keep going to tracks like this where one lane is so dominant.
Oh,
And whoa, bit of contact there as he went to move him. Kobe being aggressive, not wanting to sit behind that 13 and waste any time, which I mean I think is smart. You don't have much time left in this race. You can't sit behind a lap car, so smart for him to do that. But yeah, we can certainly see them have an effect on these races, like we see them have an effect on the Cup races.
surprisingly, no damage there to the 10. But that allows Kanan to open up the gap to over half a second now. Tony Stewart's going to be the next guy that has to get through Paul Tracy now. I mean, Jay, how do you race a guy like Tony Stewart when he owns the series? He runs the thing. I mean, would you dump him for a win or whatnot, or would you be afraid he's just going to fire you?
I think you have to not think about that. And plus, Tony Stewart is the guy who's going to be right aggressive towards you. He would dump you in a second. So I think you have to not really think about that. And you're there to win, so you have to go for it. And you know, if you have to dump the guy, you have to dump him. I don't think Tony's going to care. He'll understand. And so you know you can't really think about things like that. Yeah, absolutely, if it were me, I'd dump him. I mean, I want to win no matter what. Sorry, Tony, you do the same to me. So you know you just I think that's what you just have to do in those certain situations.
And Tony under a little bit of pressure now from Labonte there as they came through out of turns four. The gap did close a little bit that time. Only 10 laps to go. This race is going to be over in just a couple of minutes here as they head down towards turn three. Nonetheless, whatever happens at this point, I think we can both agree that Tony Kanaan has done a great job defending here on this final run, and of course even earlier in the race. And just up ahead, he's got Ernie Francis Jr. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to run down Francis, so he should be okay there, not have to worry about traffic before this race comes to a close now, as there's only 9 laps to go. And can Kobe run him down? That's the question now. He's clearly got that long run speed, and it took him about 50 laps earlier to get to the lead after being behind Kanan. So he has enough time lap-wise, but of course we're running out now within the final 8 laps. Still about half a second lead there for Tony Kanan now as Elio Castroneves still trails in P3. Labonte trying to put some pressure to the inside of Tony Stewart here as they go down towards turns 1. Can he pull off that move? It looks like he's going to, because that outside line is just such a disadvantage, and Kanan, or sorry, not Kanan, but Labonte is going to go through there on the inside as Stewart fights back though, but is it going to be enough? A great battle going on here, bringing the 9 of Bill Elliott into the mix right now as these NASCAR legends go at it from 4th all the way through 6th here now. As I mean, Jay, as well, speaking of NASCAR legends here, before we get into the end of this race, I just saw a bit of a moment there. That was a lap car of Marco Andretti, did not interfere at all with anything, thank goodness, but it might become an issue right there. Oh, we got the 10 in the wall. We don't need to talk about NASCAR legends, actually. You know what? We got some developments going on. The 10 loses a position right there, and that might seal the deal for a guy like Tony Kanaan now, as I don't think they're going to be able to run him down. But Andretti got right up in the mixer. I think he was coming out of the pit lane or something, and it caused a bit of a moment for the 10 of Doug Kobe. So that puts Castroneves in the lead, or sorry, in the second, in front of Kobe. But look at these guys just going at it right now. As I mean, Jay, you got to be frustrated though if you're a guy like Doug Kobe.
I think you have to be extremely frustrated. You lost the lead on a caution. This guy was a part of it, and then he decides to come back out on track, and he pulls basically right up in front of Doug Kobe, forces him to go to the outside, and then that winds up. Then he winds up getting into the wall, losing second place for a moment. Now he's back in second place, but obviously certainly lost his shot to go for the lead here. I think this is Kanan's race to the end. I mean, there's just no way they catch him, and there's no way they pass him either. So unfortunate that a lap car has an effect on that. Like again towards the finish here. But I don't know either way, honestly. Even if he was still up there with Kanan right now, I don't know if he even passes him. Kanan just looks like he has that bit of a better car at the moment.
And coming to the final lap, by the way, they will be right there. White flag in the air for Tony Kanaan already as he goes down this back straight away. A great run by him. Did everything right pretty much in this race in a very quick race. This was, and Tony Kanaan comes through to win the first race of the season here of 6 in the SRX Series. Doug Kobe still gets second, third for Elio Castroneves, who was under pressure from Labonte right at the end for fourth. Elliott fifth. Tony Stewart gets P6, 7th and 8th are the final two cars on the lead lap there. So Willie T. Ribs as well as Ernie Francis Jr. on the lead lap. And then, of course, 9th all the way through 12th are multiple laps down with, of course, Greg Biffle and Michael Waltrip DNFing from this race in that caution that came out a little bit earlier, setting us up for that stretch to the end of the race now. But I mean, Jay, another thing I think I'm going to like about the series is just the races. You get the point across, you get everything done, you get the racing action, but they still keep it short and sweet now. I mean, in real life, they have that 90-minute race it is. So an hour and a half isn't too bad. I think actually is a pretty appropriate race length for the series.
I agree with that as well. You don't want to have something too long. You don't want to have it be too short. I think 90 minutes is a perfect thing for these guys to go out there and still show that still have put on a great race, still put on something that the fans can enjoy. And then and yeah, I'm excited for the series and this first race, at least for us on NR. I thought was pretty decent. I wasn't expecting that caution there towards the end, but it certainly spiced things up, and I think it gave us a winner that we wouldn't have had without that caution. So I wish that Kobe would have been there right towards been there towards the or on the last lap to make something happen there. But still, either way, a good race and congratulations to Tony Kanaan for winning the first race of the SRX series.
Excellent job from Kanan there, hanging on here in the Camping World SRX series. And of course, if you guys enjoyed, you do know what to do. And if you have any information that we maybe need to know about these drivers and just on the series in general, don't be afraid to leave that down in the comments. So next up will be Knoxville. Actually, we go back-to-back dirt races. It's Knoxville and Eldora, but Knoxville comes up first. Not sure if that's next week or maybe a couple weeks out, but of course we'll have that all sorted out beforehand. But it's just Knoxville, Eldora, Lucas Oil Raceway, Slinger Speedway, and then Nashville Fairground Speedway to finish off the season. Like we said, only 6 races, 6 weeks throughout the summer here every Saturday. So very excited to bring the rest of the season to you guys. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. Once again, we'd like to say thank you for taking your time out of your day to watch this race and hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll see you guys in the next one from Knoxville. Have a great day, everybody.